Maybe I'm letting Torkoal take too much damage unnecessarily, but they just throat chop Uxie, and what does Zamazenta do? Oh, and because I'm almost full physical bulk, might actually be full physical bulk, special bulk. It doesn't quite KO, and I do get my Trick Room, and now I have Torkoal in. Welcome back to VGC Legends, the series where I spin a wheel, get a random legendary Pokemon, build a team on the spot with that Pokemon, and try it out on the VGC Regulation I ladder. I do this for two reasons. One, because I really like legendary Pokemon, and I want to give a lot of them their due, although there sure are a lot in Scarlet and Violet to get through. And two, because speed building teams like this can teach me something about the format and also give me a lot of fun along the way. Surely I'm going to build some good teams and some bad teams, and some teams where I have to improvise and play in ways that I'm not used to get through tough game situations. And so there should be some fun moments. But let's find out what today's legendary Pokemon is. Stopping on Gen 3, 4, Uxie? It's Uxie! Alright, what am I going to do with Uxie? So I actually drafted Uxie once in the PDL, that's the Prismatic Draft League. I have a bunch of Prismatic Draft League videos on this channel, definitely check those out if you haven't, they're my personal favorite content here. And that season, which admittedly went very badly for me, I kind of referred to Uxie as Cresselia at home. It's a bulky psychic type with Levitate, and it gets some of the same support options as Cresselia. Obviously it doesn't get Lunar Blessing, but it can set Trick Room, gets Ally Switch, it gets Encore, I see. Knockoff, interesting. It gets Light Screen and Reflect, both of those. Does it get Life Dew? I think Life Dew might be down in the usually useless section on Showdown. It gets Yawn, that's really good. Cresselia doesn't get Yawn, I don't think. No Life Dew. Imprison. Okay, I kind of feel like I want to run hard Trick Room with Uxie, because, I mean, what else am I doing with this Pokemon, right? I could try to set it up with, like, Calm Mind, or Mystical Power, the special Psychic type attack exclusive to that trio that will raise special attack, the user's special attack when it connects. That's not bad, I mean, I might want that anyway, but to me this is a Trick Room setter. It's a little bit on the fast side for a Trick Room setter, but yeah, I think that's the best use that I can make of that bulk, so probably something like a Mental Herb. It doesn't get Follow Me. I can't really redirect an Urshifu into it. Maybe an Urshifu will attack it anyway, but I think a Mental Herb is fine. Yeah, I want Trick Room. I kind of like Screens. I kind of like Yawn. I think we use Yawn because it's something a little bit unusual that this Pokemon does. I probably do want Mystical Power, so I could target an opposing, I don't know, Rapid Strike or Shifu. I mean, Psychic's not amazing coverage, but it is a nice move to have. Given that Uxie doesn't hit very hard, the boosting over time can be helpful. I could run Safety Goggles or Terra Grass and try to blow up an opposing Amoonguss with Mystical Power. I'll figure out the rest of the set, but then the question, of course, is what teammates do I want with this Uxie? And in particular, what two restricted Pokemon, given that Uxie is not itself one of my restricted Pokemon here. So, when I think a Trick Room team, I think Ice Rider Calyrex. And then for the other restricted, I probably want something to hit hard on the special side. But, I mean, I could go Lunala or Dawn Wings Necrozma, but that's 3 Psychic types already, and I haven't thought about maybe an Indeedee yet. Actually, how do I justify using Uxie when I could just do Indeedee Calyrex to set up Trick Room? That's a good question. It does get Encore. Well, it gets Memento. I could use Memento, maybe. Yeah, and that can get... So what I can do is I can set Trick Room... I'm not sure I'm going to keep Memento, but one thing I can do maybe is set Trick Room and then click Memento. That lowers, of course, an opponent's attacking stats, but it also gets one of my attackers in for free. So if I can get Ice Rider Calyrex in with something that really complements it well. So Ice Rider Calyrex has trouble into fire, well, a little bit of trouble into fire types. It does run high horsepower. Trouble into water types. Miraidon would be nice, but Miraidon is so fast is the thing. But I mean, I could run a slow Miraidon, couldn't I? That base 135 speed, though, there's only so slow you can get it. Maybe I'd be better off with something like Raging Bolt. or Rillaboom. Yeah, what's a good restricted Pokemon to complement Ice Rider Calyrex on this team? And yeah, I probably do want something to hit water types, water Terras. Get past Wide Guard is also big. Groudon, not necessarily the worst idea. Black Kyurem is kind of a funny idea, but I don't think it's actually very useful. There's Terapagos. I could run like Specs Terapagos actually on this. That's of limited help into Wide Guard. I mean, it's fine before I Terrastallize it. I actually think I'm going to try Specs Terapagos. Right, and I can invest in bulk because I'm running Trick Room. I think it's worth a shot. And then I probably want... What gets Faint? Faint might be good if I'm worried about Wide Guard. But I don't know if I have room for a Faint user. I mean, Glade gets it. That's something. Iron Valiant. Mousehold. Mienshao might be worth it, because I can also run my own Wide Guard on that. It's a little bit fast for this team, but that's not necessarily the worst thing. Maybe I don't need Faint. I think I do like Raging Bolt on this team. Again, to help me deal with opposing Water Terras in some situations. I think I like Ursaluna just for big damage and Trick Room. And let's see, a lot of teams would run something like Hatterene or Torkoal. I have Uxie already helping to answer some opposing physical threats into Terapagos. I have some offense into Zamazenta. I don't have a ton, but hopefully I have enough to get by. I could maybe use something to help ensure that Uxie sets up the Trick Room, although I think what I'm envisioning here is like lead it with Terapagos or Calyrex and use offensive pressure to get Trick Room up. And then I have the option to click Yawn, or I can click Memento to get my other attacker in right away. So, okay. That means if I'm bringing Uxie to a game, I have a 3 Pokemon offense. It's probably my 2 Restricteds and one of these. What are the gaps in that? I'm not great into Kyogre, not terrible. Not great into Terrifier Groudon, not terrible. There's opposing Ice Rider. Maybe I do just run Torkoal. Right, that'll weaken Kyogre. I can even consider putting Solar Beam on it. It puts pressure on opposing Ice Rider in Trick Room. That means I only have 2 Trick Room setters, right? Uxie and my own Calyrex, assuming I run Trick Room on that, but I think I can live with that. I don't know, I'll fill out the rest of the team and we'll see how I feel. Okay, nothing too weird here, except that I'm forcing Uxie onto the team. All these Pokemon are at the lowest speed stat they can be at, though that is a speed IV of 31 for Terapagos and 20 for Raging Bolt, except Ursaluna, which has the same base speed as Ice Rider Calyrex, so I made it a point faster so that Calyrex will go first under Trick Room, and Ursaluna won't steal Chilling Neigh boosts. Went full coverage with Torkoal. That meant no room for Protect, so it has Ghost Terra. Also Flamethrower for a single target attack into the likes of Zamazenta. Otherwise, pretty typical sets, I think. And on Uxie, I ended up dropping Mystical Power because, one, I decided it seemed important to fit Protect into here, given that a lot of people will probably lead Fake Out users into this team. And 2, I actually came to really like the idea of just setting Trick Room and clicking Memento at least some of the time. And that means Uxie gets itself out of the game fairly quickly, and doesn't benefit from sitting around and clicking Mystical Power for boosts, right? Those are just 2 very different ways for Uxie to play. They're not really compatible together, and so the Memento version is what I've gone with here. That's all there is to say, I think. Let's get on the ladder. and see how this goes. Alright, Lunala, Rillaboom, Urshifu, Miraidon, Grimmsnarl, and Incineroar. I might regret not having Psychic Terrain on this team, but what am I going to do? Put manual Psychic Terrain on Uxie? I guess I could, but it doesn't really have a move slot for it. Anyway, yeah, because Grimmsnarl could be an issue is what I'm getting at here. I think I'm down to lead Uxie Calyrex, bring Terapagos in the back, and I could do Ursaluna. It's susceptible to a lot of things, actually. Grassy Glide, Intimidate. Maybe I'll bring Raging Bolt to this one. Okay, they lead Grimmsnarl and Incineroar, so they're threatening Fake Out with actually both of their Pokemon immediately. Grimmsnarl can set screens. There's not really anything I can do about that. I'm just going to protect with both of my Pokemon this turn and see what they do. They do go for Reflect, and just straight Darkest Lariat into Uxie. You don't see that move too often. Uxie on this team has a ton of physical bulk. I don't think I'm terribly worried about taking it. We'll see if that turns out to be wrong. But I think I'm just going to click a Yawn into... the one thing that's a little bit awkward is I can't really protect Calyrex this turn. I can just Terra Water Glacial Lance and click Trick Room with Uxie. I think that works. Thunder Wave into Uxie. It's fine without a full para. Darkest Lariat still does a fair bit. Good thing I turned the weakness off. Glacial Lance is a little more than half to Grimmsnarl through Reflect. You love to see it. And we do get the Trick Room up. And now I can Memento Incineroar. I don't know if it's super worthwhile. If they have Darkest Lariat, they probably don't have knockoff, so they're not really able to intimidate or parting shoot Calyrex. I think I'm down to Memento into Incineroar. Alternatively, I could click Yawn, but I think this is fine to get Terapagos in for free. They Thunder Wave Calyrex. We do get the Glacial Lance off and knock out Grimmsnarl. And Memento now goes into Incineroar. Yeah, I let Uxie go down. I get Terapagos in here. They never set Light Screen. They do potentially have Wide Guard with the Lunala. I haven't seen... Oh, I've already Terra'd. I can't even Terra my Terapagos. But I haven't seen a Lunala run Wide Guard yet anyway. But I'm just going to lock into Terra... Maybe I want to lock into not Terra Starstorm. But I don't know what their last Pokemon is. I can lock into Earth Power into Incineroar, and then if it's Rillaboom in the back, I guess I can pivot Raging Bolt in so I can switch moves. I'm just going to click Glacial Lance. I don't think I've seen a Lunala with Wide Guard in a while. Okay, Incineroar underspeeds Terapagos. That's a problem with Terapagos having guaranteed 31 speed IV. They switch Miraidon in on a Specs Earth Power, though. It still takes half. And I still have a few turns of Trick Room left. Calyrex is not KO'd by the Dazzling Gleam. A Glacial Lance here would be huge. It would get a KO into either Miraidon or Incineroar coming back in. Just need to not be fully paralyzed. Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and pivot the Raging Bolt in now. They do switch Incineroar back in, so if I get this Glacial Lance off, I get a KO, and I don't have to worry about Parting Shot anymore. Nice. Still have a turn of Trick Room, and Miraidon is going to be stuck on the field now. They actually missed the KO into Calyrex again. This is no full para yet. Let's not start now. Have they used their Terra yet? They haven't. It could be Terra Fairy Miraidon. I think I'm just going to Thunderbolt into Lunala and click Glacial Lance. It's Terra Fairy Lunala. Oh, they get the full para now. Well, fair enough. If that Glacial Lance goes off, I guaranteed win the game, but Terapagos might be able to win this anyway. But I don't have Terra Shell intact, and they have Miraidon in terrain. So, yeah, I don't love this. But hey, they can't Terra. And they're locked into Dazzling Gleam. Right. Okay, nice. Terapagos closing that one out. Very good start. And yeah, Trick Room, Memento, Uxie. I mean, the Memento was a little bit underwhelming into just an Incineroar, but it took them a while to wear my Calyrex down, right? The Darkest Lariat was doing good damage, so I think it was pretty valuable there. Here we have a Zacian Kyogre team with Tornadus, Amoonguss, Incineroar, and Urshifu. So I definitely want to try to set Trick Room up right away against this, but it could be hard to deal with beyond that. I don't have much in the way of Amoonguss immunities. Maybe I should have gone Terra Grass on my Calyrex instead of Terra Water. I can consider that change after this game. But for now, let's go Uxie, Calyrex, Terrapagos. I could bring Raging Bolt. Or I could bring Torkoal. Torkoal, of course, turns off the rain, and it's an offensive threat into a few of their Pokemon. Including Amoonguss, actually, because it underspeeds. I even could leave Terrapagos behind for this one and just go Torkoal, Raging Bolt. In fact, I think I'm going to do that. Okay, they lead Zacian, Tornadus. So I think I should be okay here to protect Calyrex and click Trick Room with Uxie. Even if they taunt Uxie, I have the Mental Herb. I forgot to make Uxie shiny again, didn't I? Oh, it's Substitute Zacian. Yeah, we know all about that because of last time. Oh, man. Well, that probably pressures out the Terra on my Calyrex, but it's not necessarily the end of the world. They can taunt Uxie, and of course I don't have an attack on it. So I think I just hard switch to Raging Bolt here. And I will high horsepower the Zacian slot. And let me just go ahead right now and fix my Uxie's shininess. There we go. What does Zacian go for? Oh, I meant to Terra the Calyrex. I forgot to do that. And I am punished for it. That's just, yeah, that's my fault. Well, I'm not going to do it now. I'm just going to Thunderbolt, Tornadus, and high horsepower Zacian. I got distracted by the blue coloring on my Uxie. Let's go with that. I absolutely meant to Terra Calyrex there. So knocking out Tornadus here means they get something else in for free, which I think is what they're fishing for, protecting that Zacian like that. It's Kyogre, though. I mean, that seems manageable. Raging Bolt is taunted, so there's nothing to do here but attack. I guess I'll just Thunderbolt into Kyogre and high horsepower into Zacian. They'll probably show me what their Terra is on something this turn. Just let me get big damage into Zacian, not quite a KO. And big damage into Kyogre, not quite a KO. Are they gonna knock out Raging Bolt here? Yeah, they do. Okay. So I get Torkoal and Uxie with one turn of Trick Room left. Maybe I can reset Trick Room, but again, I don't have Protect on the Torkoal. I mean, I do still have my Terra available. And this turn I have a pretty free Eruption. Okay, they protect Kyogre, and they protect Zacian. Yeah, go figure. I'm gonna go straight for Trick Room with Uxie, and I guess I might as well... Well, I don't know, actually. I mean, the Torkoal right now resists Zacian stabs. I don't know if Terra Ghost is really helpful to me. Even if they weaken Eruption a whole bunch, these Pokemon are just so low. I'm gonna click it. Again, it's not like I have Protect on Torkoal. Okay, they show Rapid Strike or Urshifu. They do big damage to Uxie, but they will not deny this Trick Room. That Eruption did a ton to Urshifu. They'll get Rain back up, but the Kyogre is so low. They could click Aqua Jet, though, with the Urshifu. I think I'm going to Yawn Urshifu and Terra Ghost. Earth Power Kyogre. They protect Kyogre. Did they get me? Surging Strikes into Torkoal. Doesn't KO, but another one will, and I don't have an attack on Uxie, so I think they got me. I guess if I knew that the Urshifu was going to attack, maybe I should have read the Protect on Kyogre. But, oh well. Kyogre goes for double Protect. Wait, they just let me back into this game. I just take the KO on Urshifu. They never clicked, I meant to click Yawn there, not Memento, but it works out fine. I'll Memento here, and Earth Power Kyogre. It's not choiced Kyogre with Protect, is it? I think we saw it switch moves earlier. Maybe they probably thought I had Heat Wave. I never showed that I didn't. So were they trying to cover for that somehow? Origin Pulse, Protect. Yeah, it's not choiced. They just went for a triple Protect for some reason. But yeah, I guess maybe they thought Heat Wave Torkoal was taking 2 KOs. I don't know. I guess I also hadn't shown that I didn't have an attack on Uxie. So maybe they thought the only way that they could get through my Trick Room was a super improbable spam Protect through the whole thing. I thought I'd lost there, but I guess that's best of 1 closed team sheet for you. My opponent had to cover for things that weren't actually there. Anyway, we got Lugia, Zamazenta, Rillaboom, Fluttermane, Chien-Pao, and Incineroar. I don't actually love lead Uxie in this one, because I have so many things that threaten it immediately. But I'm going to do it anyway. Let's bring Torkoal. That's really strong into a lot of this team under Trick Room. Yeah, see, Chien-Pao is just such a threat to Uxie immediately. Calyrex is also just not very well positioned into this lead. But Torkoal could be. If I just Trick Room and switch to Torkoal, maybe I'm letting Torkoal take too much damage unnecessarily, but they just Throat Chop Uxie, and what does Zamazenta do? Oh, and because I'm almost full physical bulk, might actually be full physical bulk, special bulk. It doesn't quite KO, and I do get my Trick Room. And now I have Torkoal in. They can obviously Wide Guard, most likely. I'm going to click Yawn into Zamazenta and Flamethrower into Chien-Pao. Yeah, they Wide Guard. Oh, I thought they would Terror the Zamazenta. I could have just gotten big damage into it, but I mean, we still take this. I'm going to Yawn the Zamazenta slot again and Flamethrower the Chien-Pao slot again. Why not? Now I get Yawn into Incineroar. I can Sucker Punch Torkoal, but I'm not clicking Eruption, so that's okay. They can Fake Out Torkoal next turn and I don't have Protect. That's a little bit less okay. It's Lugia. Yawn that too. And Earth Power Incineroar. Not really making the most of this Trick Room because I haven't gotten Uxie off the field, but these Yawns have been pretty valuable, I think. They get a Parting Shot into Torkoal. I do have 1 more turn of Trick Room. I'm actually just going to Memento Lugia. No. Go on the Lugia slot and Flamethrower Zamazenta. They might show me their Terra here. Switch out to Incineroar. Okay, makes sense. They're not letting me get damage into Zamazenta. I mean, they let me turn 1, but I didn't take it. Aeroblast Uxie, that'll knock that out. I can get my Ice Rider in now. I do have to cover for a Fake Out, but after that, potentially I can set Trick Room. And I think I'll just go to my Specs Terrapagos now. Reset the drop on Torkoal. The problem is, yeah, Zamazenta is so strong into both of my Restricteds. Water, Trick Room. Just have to live with the knockoff, and I'll go for an Earth Power into Incineroar. Cover for a Wide Guard. They don't Wide Guard, they're just looking for damage, but we do get the KO on Incineroar. Terrapagos now can't hit Lugia unless I switch it out, but it certainly can hit Zamazenta. And if they want to click Wide Guard, that's I think I'm okay with that. That's pretty passive from them. I'll Glacial Lance anyway and Earth Power into Zamazenta. They show Terra Ghost, okay. But if Zamazenta is using Wide Guard, it's not attacking. It's not exactly huge damage into it, though. I'll High Horsepower Zamazenta and Earth Power. Try to get some damage on it more quickly. So I am letting the Lugia set up, which isn't ideal, but I'm just kind of counting on Lugia not being especially strong. And here... I'm down to try to get rid of this Zamazenta and get Terrapagos out so that I can switch to an attack that hits Lugia. I might lose to this Lugia still, though. They do let me knock out Zamazenta and get a Chilling Day, but they might knock out Calyrex here. Yeah, they do. And already I only have 1 turn of Trick Room left and I'm out of setters, but they might protect Lugia. In fact, I think they probably will, but there's nothing for me to do except big Terra Starstorm and big Flamethrower. They don't protect Lugia. Torkoal breaks the multi-scale, and it gets a burn, which could actually come in handy if this is leftovers Lugia. They take the KO on Torkoal, but it's Lugia versus Terrapagos the rest of the way. Lugia will be faster than Terrapagos. But its only recovery is leftovers, and we have the burn offsetting that now. So that is kind of a lucky burn there. The Aeroblast into Terra Shell, it actually does a fair bit of damage. But we'll just see how well we take another one. Of course, it also has that boosted crit rate, so don't be shocked if it crits me here. But it doesn't. Might have been a roll to KO if it did. But Terrapagos overpowers Lugia and brings this one home. Very nice. Zacian, Zamazenta, Urshifu, Tinglu, Incineroar, and Whimsicott. So 3 Gen 8 legendaries teaming up, but then the rest of the team doesn't stick to that pattern. That said, Double Wolves looks like a nightmare for this team. Both of my restricteds are bad into both of theirs. You don't like to see that. Ice Rider and Terrapagos might not be the greatest restricted pairing. Because we're definitely getting some shaky matchups for them. But then I don't think Ice Rider Lunala or Ice Rider Dawn Wings Necrozma seems like a great restricted pairing either. Maybe Lunala would have worked. But I don't know. I'm sure it'll take time for people, for much better players than me to figure out hard Trick Room and Reg I. Anyway. I'm down to bring Uxie. If I could get a Memento into Zacian, that would be pretty dreamy. I'm tempted to leave both of my restricteds behind, actually, and just bring these other 3. I think that's probably not correct. I mean, Ice Rider's strong into some of their stuff. Doesn't necessarily mean I want to lead with it. I do Uxie Raging Bolt. Ice Rider Torkoal? I don't know. Have I brought Ursaluna to a game yet? I don't think Ursaluna might not have been the right call. It's just Ursaluna is such a strong Trick Room Pokemon. If I'm building a Trick Room team, I'm like, yeah, that one. Anyway. Cover for Fake Out, and maybe Scout the Terra on Zacian or something else. If it's Substitute, they get me with that, but... Oh, Swords Dance is, you know, also not really what I want to see. I'll try to get Trick Room here. They might knock Uxie out before it can set the Trick Room, but if they do, then how well is Zacian taking this Thunderclap? And doesn't it continue to be threatened by Raging Bolt after that, really? Okay, it actually takes that Thunderclap pretty well. Yeah, big damage into Uxie at +3 attack. They do deny my Trick Room here, and I got less than 50% into Zacian, so... I mean, what I can do is go Calyrex here. They don't have Wide Guard on the board right now. I can Terra Water. Actually, I think I just protect this turn. Thunderbolt Zacian. If they target down my Raging Bolt, then they get me, but the idea is they'll target Calyrex, and I get a chance to KO Zacian and then get things set up with Calyrex here. And honestly, might be better... Well, if the Zacian weren't at +3 attack... Well, okay, they do get me. I was going to say it might be better to try to set up in front of Zacian because Zamazenta is scary, but it is a +3 attack. Anyway, like I said, they get me with that. Let's try this. I think Calyrex is going to get taunted, so not much use trying to click Trick Room. They actually go for Parting Shot into Torkoal. I could have set Trick Room here. This person's just in my head rent-free, which, you know, it happens sometimes on the ladder. Try to get rid of this Zacian. We're still not in Trick Room. Also, they can Encore. But then I want to click High Horsepower, right? Because that's what I did last turn. I can at least pick my target with that. And Flamethrower. The Light Screen. Drop to Play Rough. Yeah, okay. This person just completely outplayed me. It happens. I don't even have Protect on the Torkoal, so I'll just Solar Beam Zacian. They're not going to let me do that. Yeah, Torkoal will get knocked out by the next one before it gets the attack off. Would be cool, though, if they let me have this Solar Beam into their Terra Water Zacian, but they don't. Okay, next game. Miraidon hiding behind its teammate's wing here, but I do see it. Lunala, Whimsicott, Chiyu, Urshifu, and Iron Hands. There's some real Sunroom stuff here. I mean, much nicer Shadow Rider or Ice Rider matchup than that last game. Let's just do this again. And let's bring Ursaluna to this one. This looks like a decent Ursaluna game. They're taking a bit of time with this one. Probably wondering what on earth a Uxie is doing here. But that's okay. Oh, they're ready. Okay, it is Whimsicott Miraidon. It honestly might be worthwhile to Terra Grass the Uxie just so it can take a hit from Miraidon. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. Protect Calyrex. If I get this Trick Room up, I'm in a very good position. If I don't get this Trick Room up, I'm in a very bad position. So I really do think this Terra is worth it. They're Dark Whimsicott. Not sure what they're covering for with that. They do just go straight for Tailwind and Electro Drift into Calyrex. Okay, so the Grass Terra on Uxie doesn't pay off, but I don't think it was a bad decision. Let's just do the Memento play into Miraidon and click Glacial Lance. That might switch Miraidon out, but Memento into whatever comes in is also nice. I mean, it's all attackers in the back, so yeah. It's Lunala? Okay. They Encore me into Trick Room. That's so cool. But oh, Mental Orb stops Encore. I don't think I even knew that it does that. Nice. Okay, I get a benefit of Mental Orb that I did not remember the item even had. They almost forced me to reverse my own Trick Room, but Uxie is just a little bit too clever with all that knowledge stored up in its brain. Gets a drop into Lunala. I break Shadow Shield. Now I get Terapagos in. I have already used my Terra, so still no spread Terra Starstorm in this game. Honestly, it probably would have been better to get Ursaluna in here, actually. Because I do kind of want to lock into Terra Starstorm, but I can lock into Earth Power, it's fine. Because that also is strong into Chiyu and Iron Hands. Whatever's in the back, Miraidon as well. Nice, we get a Glacial Lance KO into Whimsicott. We get a big Specs Earth Power into Lunala, which does KO. 2 turns of Trick Room left, Miraidon, and what? Urshifu, Rapid Strike form. Earth Power, Glacial Lance. Okay, they Aqua Jet Terapagos, breaks the Terra Shell, doesn't do a whole lot else. Glacial Lance will knock out Miraidon, big damage into Urshifu, or Earth Power will not get the last KO, I know because the game didn't end. I guess pretty close though. And there's still 1 turn of Trick Room. They can protect if they have it, but Urshifu is never beating both of these by itself. And they do just let it go down to a Glacial Lance. Alright, good Ice Rider Terapagos game there. You love to see it. And Uxie with the Mental Herb really coming in clutch against that Whimsicott. Ice Rider, Miraidon, Farigiraf, Incineroar, Ursaluna, Fluttermane. Although to be honest with you, I am kind of hoping that Hard Trick Room won't be too good in this format because I don't want to reset for specific IVs on my static encounter Pokemon. There are a lot of tedious things in Pokemon that I don't mind doing, but I just don't play Hard Trick Room in a format like this on cartridge. So hopefully it won't be the best thing in the format, but it's feeling pretty decent here. There's probably a better restricted pairing to figure out. Anyway. This is a more Trick Room oriented team on my opponent's part. A little bit scary. I don't have great cover for Miraidon Trick Room stuff, do I? I actually think I'm just going to lead with my 2 restricteds and attack. And not worry so much about setting Trick Room in this one, although there may be a place for it. But yeah, I think I'm even going to leave Uxie behind here and just bring offense. And not worry too much about the speed control and hope it works out. It's a pretty unusual way to play this. I'm not very confident that it will work out, but it'll be an interesting game. Okay, Miraidon for Farigiraf. Wouldn't be surprised to see an Electric Seed on the Giraffe. Yeah. I think I'm just going to Terra Terrapagos turn 1. They don't have Wide Guard on this team. I'm just going to Glacial Lance Terra Stellar Starstorm. That turns off their terrain, so an Electro Drifter Volt Switch coming out of Miraidon won't hit as hard into a likely Calyrex target. Yeah, there's the Volt Switch. Who's taking this Glacial Lance? Incineroar or their Calyrex wouldn't mind taking it, but then they might not like taking the Starstorm. Fluttermane and Ursaluna don't want to take this Glacial Lance. Of course, the Starstorm will come out first. Yeah, big damage. Thunderwave into Terrapagos. Okay, didn't see that one coming. Get a Glacial Lance KO into Farigiraf. Who's coming in? Miraidon again. Well, I don't have Protect on Terrapagos. This is a pretty free fake out for them and big damage with Miraidon, but I'm at least not going to let them have that big damage into Calyrex immediately. But yeah, the Miraidon, I mean, this is why Miraidon is so good, right? The pivoting out and then coming back in right away might make me wish that I had set Trick Room. Because it's such a threat. Now that I've used my one-time turn off terrain button. On the other hand, they didn't do any damage with Miraidon this turn, so I'm gonna give up my boost. I'm gonna switch Calyrex out to Ursaluna and just Terra Starstorm. They could have Electro Drifted Terrapagos there, but they do go for the Ursaluna. They get a Parting Shot into Terrapagos, so that'll obviously reduce the Starstorm damage. But the point is, both my Pokemon were threatening big damage. There was still a lot for my opponent to try to deal with. That said, Ursaluna outside of Trick Room, but not super convincing here when they have this Ice Rider. But I am just gonna go straight for a Headlong Rush. I'm going to go for a Facade into the Miraidon slot, actually. And I'm good with hitting hopefully I get a hit into either Miraidon or Incineroar switching in. Either one is good. I'll just click Terra Starstorm with Terrapagos. That's the only move I can click, other than switching it out. They go Incineroar. Hopefully I get a KO into that with something. Yep, get the Facade. Glacial Lance does knock out Ursaluna. Single target Starstorm if I'm not fully paralyzed. I am fully paralyzed. Why did I even say that? And I probably lose to Miraidon now. At least I can maybe bait out a Draco Meteor and weaken it for Ice Rider in the back. But yeah, this is pretty dicey. Thunderclap, just to be sure. Some damage. Dazzling Gleam. I mean, obviously that was a possibility. I just was hoping it was Draco Meteor. But no, I mean, my restricted duo was pretty threatening here, but yeah, I should have set Trick Room turn 1 after all. Go figure, when you ignore speed control, that tends to put you in some bad positions, especially against a fast menace like Miraidon. I'll play until one more loss. This is where I would say I'll put a special emphasis on bringing Uxie to games, but I've actually been bringing Uxie to most of the games so far anyway. For Shifu, Chien-Pao, Zamazenta, Kyogre, Whimsicott, Landorus. Okay, pretty dangerous. But I'll do the Uxie. I'll do the Uxie game plan. I certainly will, and I might lead it with Terrapagos this time because I can Terra Stellar turn 1 and turn off their rain. We saw how that can be punished, but I think it might be worth it. The tricky thing obviously is if they lead Zamazenta, but then that's not as much of a threat to Uxie, at least. I'll bring my 2 restricteds, and I'll bring... Torkoal's kind of nice here for reasons previously discussed. It also pressures Mazenta nicely. Flamethrower Torkoal has actually been pretty good here in closed team sheet because they cover for Eruption, and then I just get that big single target damage. Alright, I've talked myself into bringing Torkoal to this one. Of course, it might be better if I had Protect on Torkoal instead of one of the coverage moves, but anyway. Chien-Pao or Shifu Rapid Strike form, that's pretty dangerous. I don't know if Uxie's getting through this one, but honestly, it might be worth a Terra Grass. That does again deny me the spread Starstorm later, but I really want Trick Room in this matchup. I'm just going to do it when I think that Dark and Water type damage are coming out. They also could attack Terapagos, and then I'd feel silly, but I'll do what I can here, and I'll Starstorm into Chanpao to break its sash. Okay, they do attack Uxie, so the Terra Grass might actually pay off this time. Unless they ice attacked it. Nope, Throat Chop, nice. Yeah, we knocked Chanpao down to its sash. We get Trick Room. It is a little bit awkward that I don't have Mystical Power right now. Might be nice if I did to click that into Urshifu, but I don't, so I'll just yawn it. Okay, get the Terra Starstorm into Kyogre. I guess I can Memento into Kyogre this next turn. Whoa, big damage. Maybe I don't need a Memento. The thing is, Memento doesn't really do anything into Urshifu. I'll Memento Kyogre and Starstorm the Urshifu slot. Catch Landorus on the switch, okay. Okay, don't get the Memento off. That might be for the best. You do just one-shot the Landorus. 2 turns of Trick Room left. Urshifu's back. I'll do the same play again. Okay, we get the Memento into Chanpao. Feels a little bit silly, but not the worst thing. Big Starstorm into Urshifu, knocks it out. And with 1 turn of Trick Room left, I get my... honestly, Torkoal for weather control. Yeah, because they can't set rain back up. Oh, right, wait, in Trick Room they go slower. That was silly of me. They forfeited before it went through, but in any case, I could just knock Chanpao out with anything from Torkoal and then Starstorm into Kyogre. And I still had Ice Rider Calyrex in the back. But that was pretty silly of me to not think through the weather speed interaction. Eternatus, Dipplin, Kyogre, Incineroar, Tornadus, Landorus. Eternatus and Dipplin. It's interesting. I guess Dipplin actually makes some sense with Kyogre because with Super Sweet Syrup you can help to make sure Origin Pulse hits, at least at some points in the game. That's kind of neat. Let's just do this, and I think Ursaluna's okay here. Headlong Rush, Facade, Facade, Facade. Let's see. They lead Dipplin Eternatus, so it's not Kyogre that's looking to benefit from the Super Sweet Syrup here. What are they cooking with this Eternatus? I really don't know. Well, I see 2 ice weaknesses on the board. I'm just going to Trick Room and Glacial Lance and hope they don't punish that somehow when I have no idea what's coming. But I might get closed team sheeted here. We'll see. If it happens, it happens. They're taking some time with this one, though, so it doesn't really seem like they have a set plan. Okay, Flamethrower into Calyrex. Thankfully, no burn. It's Dragon Cheer Dipplin. We knocked Dipplin out, but that is now a crit boosted. Except it's not a Dragon type anymore. They turned its Dragon typing off, so it only gets a single crit boost from Dipplin. Because if you're not familiar with Dragon Cheer, that's the way that it works. It gives 1 stage of critical hit boost to anything other than a Dragon type, but 2 stages to a Dragon type. That Eternatus is now not a Dragon type. I'm going to Yawn Incineroar and Protect. Bringing Incineroar in here does kind of force me into a little bit of a passive turn, but that's alright. And I think I will... They do get a crit there. I think I'll Memento Eternatus. It doesn't make any difference into a crit, but again, they're probably at most 50% crit rate. They could have like a Scope Lens to boost crit boosting item, but they would have to be a Dragon type, I think, to get to guaranteed crits. So this will weaken Eternatus half the time, and more importantly, it gets Terapagos in. And I'll Terra Water here, cover for Flamethrower, or Knock Off, or Flare Blitz, and High Horsepower into... Or I could just Glacial... No, they probably have Kyogre in the back, right? I'll High Horsepower and do what I think is Kyogre coming in. They actually just let me knock out Incineroar there, okay. Want the Rocky Helmet damage. Get the Memento into Eternatus. What's Eternatus going for? Flamethrower into Calyrex. No crit, and it's resisted now, but it does get the burn. Well, it happens. I'll go Ursaluna here while I still have Trick Room up. Unfortunately, it will take a turn to activate the Flame Orb. so maybe I just attack. Can I just Earthquake here? I'll Headlong Rush into Eternatus, actually. Try to knock that out. And High Horsepower into Eternatus as well. And then the idea is that Terapagos can beat Kyogre. Hopefully. Okay, they go for Thunder into Calyrex, so they don't damage Ursaluna this turn. Ursaluna gets his Flame Orb. There's only one turn of Trick Room left. They can protect Kyogre if they have it. But I'm just going to Facade and Terra Starstorm. Then I can do that again the next turn. And they can just one-shot Ursaluna with an Origin Pulse or a Water Spout if they protect Kyogre now. The way they forfeited immediately, I wonder if they were choice-locked into Thunder, but then why would you click that in front of Ursaluna? But anyway, they didn't want to play that Kyogre Terapagos endgame. I think it was probably in my favor. Yeah, I think it almost certainly was in my favor. So understandable. Okay, this is a very Trick Room-y team apart from the Koraidon, but yeah, the rest of this screams Trick Room. I mean, they actually could have U-turn Koraidon into Weak Armor Armarouge, so it could be one of those fake hard Trick Room teams that people run with Armarouge. I don't think I let this scare me off from setting my own Trick Room, especially since I have Terra Water Ice Rider and I have my own Torkoal, so I have ways of dealing with their Torkoal being extremely slow. What do I lead? Terapagos, I think. Just go for big specs damage into, say, Armarouge. If I see Koraidon Armarouge lead, then I'm expecting U-turn into Weak Armor. Yeah. I don't know for sure. Uxie's physical bulk has really paid off so far, but I don't know for sure that I'm getting Trick Room off into this, but I'll try. And yeah, I'll just Terra Starstorm the Armarouge. Oh, it's Bulldoze. All that talk about U-turn, but they had this. This will give them a weakness policy as well. I was kind of wondering how they do that part. Sometimes Armarouge run Terra Psychic. But I didn't think about Bulldoze. That does just knock out Uxie with no Trick Room, which is bad news for me. I do get the KO into Armarouge, but I get no damage into Koraidon. I guess I just need my Terra Water Calyrex to come through on that one. But they didn't have to use their Terra to get the Armarouge going, so they can Terra Fire, they can follow me. I'm just going to Terra Water Glacial Lance. Nope, Terra Water Trick Room. Nope, they could be Imprison Trick Room. That would not surprise me at all on this team. I think it's extremely likely. So Terra Water Glacial Lance after all, and Starstorm into Koraidon. They switch it out to their Ice Rider. Big damage. Okay. Do they go for Imprison? Okay, they actually set Trick Room for me. Or maybe they set it for them. I mean, they're not in a bad spot to benefit from it. But yeah, the only reason I didn't click Trick Room there was that I was sure there was an Imprison coming. Glacial Lance, switch to Torkoal, cover for their Glacial Lance. A Helping Hand. Seed Bomb my Calyrex. Ooh, that almost KOs. Scary stuff. But get rid of Indeedee here. Torkoal has a pretty much uncontested Eruption. It won't do a whole lot to Koraidon, but it will knock out their Calyrex, and I can High Horsepower Koraidon. And I want to keep attacking while I have Trick Room up, because Koraidon will definitely be the fastest Pokemon here. I don't want to let it go. I don't want to let it run wild once my Trick Room is over. And Torkoal will definitely be the slowest Pokemon here, so it can knock out their Calyrex before their Calyrex gets a chance to attack my Calyrex. So, good stuff all around. They actually show Terra Ghost on the Koraidon, not Terra Fire, so it takes a ton from Eruption. The crit obviously didn't matter into their Calyrex, and my Calyrex does close this one out. And we keep going. Lunala, Indeedee, Groudon, Walking Wake, Hearthflame Mask, Ogerpon, and Whimsicott. Scary Sun team. I'm just going to do my thing, I guess. I can bring Torkoal. I have so many fire and water types. I can bring Torkoal. Okay, Ogerpon, Groudon lead. This feels like a Protect Trick Room position. Maybe Terra Water Trick Room, but I think Protect is okay. Really counting on Uxie's physical bulk to come through once again. Cresselia at home. Let's see it. They switch to Lunala. The way they hard switch Lunala in like that. They tear their Ogerpon. Okay, so that's going to be their Glacial Lance resist. Big damage with that Ivy Cudgel, but yeah. No follow-up with the Groudon. Of course, Uxie has Levitate, so the Groudon would have to click a non-ground attack, but they do usually carry like Heat Crash or something. I'm going to go straight for a Memento into Ogerpon. And I don't need to Memento and High Horsepower Ogerpon. Let's Memento Lunala and High Horsepower Terra Water, high horsepower Ogerpon. Like shield. Should have known, really. That's Lunala going for Trick Room. Reverses the Trick Room. That's bad news for me. And I've used my Terra, so I can't Terra Terapagos. Tell me if you've heard that one before. It's a real issue with running Terapagos on this team, to be honest with you. But I'm just going to try to get my Trick Room right back up. Now they would hammer Calyrex. Yeah, okay, I didn't cover for that. So I'm pretty sure I don't have a way to win this one now. My Torkoal is really not going to do much. I doubt Terapagos solos. But I mean, I'll try. You know what? They could miss Precipice Blades into Torkoal and eat a big eruption. But also, Terapagos is locked into a normal... Oh, finally someone has Wide Guard on their Lunala. But also, Terapagos is locked into a normal type attack, so it never damages Lunala. I can't switch it out anymore. Yeah, so Specs Terapagos was kind of an awkward fit on this team, but I've definitely had fun with it. Miss? Oh, that doesn't miss. Okay. I 100% can't win now that Torkoal has gone down. Although, hey, let's make them prove that they have an attack that can hit Terapagos. It doesn't matter. Terapagos will run out of PP pretty soon anyway. But, yeah, look at the last KO with Expanding Force here. Specs Terapagos was definitely an awkward fit on this team. It really did come through in some games, though. I don't think it was terrible, but there were so many games where I got into positions where I couldn't Terrastallize it, or I was locked into a normal type attack when I was facing a Ghost type or something like that, because I couldn't Terrastallize it. It definitely clutched up against some of those Kyogre matchups and stuff, though, right? Like, having the Choice Specs hitting hard and the Terra Shell to tank damage made Terapagos really valuable in some end games. It mostly just was awkward that I couldn't Terrastallize it in a lot of games. I don't think it was the worst restricted partner for Ice Rider Calyrex, but I'm sure there's a better one to be found on this kind of team. That said, like I said, I don't really want to see Hard Trick Room take off in Reg I, because I don't want to play Hard Trick Room in a restricted format, because there are so many tedious things that I don't mind doing in Pokemon, but resetting my game over and over for whatever reason, that's where I draw the line. So you know what? Your takeaway from this is Hard Trick Room is bad. Don't run Hard Trick Room in Reg I. Don't make it a thing. But I had fun here, and Uxie actually put in a fair bit of work. I mean, I'm not going to say that Uxie is viable with... Yeah, I'm not going to say that Uxie is viable in this format, but super bulky, Trick Room setter, and then getting it off the field with Memento quickly, that really actually came in handy in some of these games, and it was definitely a lot of fun. So this is what the Legends series is all about, right? I'm really glad that I got to give Uxie a go on the ladder. I got to try some stuff that I was probably never using otherwise, and who knows what the wheel gives me next time.